The Dixie Chicks are the original victims of cancel culture. And this happened at a time when the idea of mass amounts of people attacking celebrities online was novel. In 2003, that just didn't happen. But during the Top of the World tour at a stop in London, lead singer of the Dixie Chicks, Natalie Maines, said this.
President of the United States.
And then all hell broke loose for them. Shut Up and Sing is a documentary that was released in 2006 that follows the immediate aftermath of this controversy and their canceling. It also follows the creation and creative process of their album, The Long Way. This is the first time I'd ever seen the documentary, even though I love the Dixie Chicks. I knew the story. I'd never seen the documentary like this. The most interesting thing about this documentary is how they recorded it and how it was just in complete continuity of right before they, had the controversy all the way up until when they released their album. It also showed the birth of this extremely toxic partisan media that still to this day is extremely toxic and will cling on to any social war idea to make money and to drum up controversy. Throughout the documentary, you really see the three girls really stick together through everything. Like, you never see them at odds with each other, and they're always a unit. Natalie is definitely the lead singer. She's definitely the most outspoken of them all. I think if you're a Dixie Chicks fan, you already knew that. But even when she is confronted with, this controversy when they're overseas and, she says what she says, and immediately after the show, they're like, oh, the American media is picking this up. It's getting legs, it's going. She's like, well, I meant what I said. And she keeps that attitude throughout all of it. She really, believes in what she believes in, and she is not gonna apologize just for the sake of all these people who continuously threaten her life, threaten her career. This documentary shows the iconic Entertainment Weekly cover where they have the words written all over them. There's also a woman in this documentary. I'm not sure if she's like a PR consultant or if she's a lawyer or something, but she is a badass, and you can tell that she's on this girl's side and she just wants them to come out of this on top. They talk a lot about the Iraq War in this documentary, which is pretty much what the entire controversy was about. Not necessarily about the war, but about Natalie Maines saying that she was embarrassed that the president was from Texas because he was getting us into all of this mess. And when the controversy started in 2003, President George Bush had amazing polling. He had a lot of approval amongst Americans, but by 2006, people were over it. As his favorability started going down, the Dixie Chicks started getting some of their fans back. They started getting more people looking at them and saying, hey, like, maybe we didn't treat those girls the way we should have, which is true. One of the most endearing aspects of this documentary was the juxtaposition of seeing them like interact with their fans at concerts and seeing their fans be excited and cheer and all of this stuff. And then the protesters that were just outside in their homemade shirts, trying to get them to go home and telling them they're dumb women constantly. I also felt that all the media clips and like the right-wing like news clips that they inserted with like Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and all these older pundits were shocking at the time. Like back in 2003 when these were said, like those might have been shocking things to say. But in 2026, not very shocking. That's a Tuesday. Radio stations refused to play their music. At the time when this controversy happened, the Dixie Chicks had the #1 single out on radio. It was Traveling Soldier, beautiful song. After this all happened, that single plummeted. Their album sales plummeted. Radio stopped playing any of their music because people were calling to the radio station and saying, hey, if you play them, we're never going to listen to you again. Businesses were calling and saying, hey, if you play them, we're never going to invest our money into this business ever again. And radio stopped playing them, and that came from the top down.
We're going to boycott them for their music, and we're going to boycott you for playing it if you don't stop playing it.
Well, ma'am, that was the last one you're going to hear.
Hundreds of stations simply stopped playing the songs they had celebrated over and over again hours before.
There was a congressional hearing about this because management and the teams behind the Dixie Chicks went to Congress and said, hey, what these radio stations are doing by forcing their DJs in all of these stations all over the country not to play the Dixie Chicks, not only is it wrong and against free speech, it's also illegal. We got an iconic moment from Senator John McCain. I think this documentary was just so well done. I think that if you are a Dixie Chicks fan or a fan of country music, then you should watch this. Even if you were around at the time all this happened. I was around, but I was really young and I didn't know what the whole controversy was about. I didn't really get it. I just knew that everyone was mad at the Dixie Chicks, and then I had a classmate who was like, yeah, my mom ran over her CDs with her car. And I was like, that's weird. If you were around when all of this was going down, I want to know what your opinions and what your thoughts were in real time.